Hey guys, Neil here, and today I'm going to be giving you my thoughts on the first season of Welcome to Derry. Just finished watching this series over the past couple of days and decided I did want to talk about it. As far as I can remember, this is the first time I've actually covered a television series here on the channel. And I was debating on whether or not I wanted to do it episode by episode or just give, my general thoughts on the season as a whole. And I decided to just talk about the season as a whole because if I were to do it episode by episode, I think I would have to get into spoilers in order to really talk about it. Otherwise, I would basically just be saying the same thing over and over for 8 different videos because there's 8 episodes in this first season. So we definitely don't want to go into any major spoilers. So I'm just going to talk about the season as a whole. Before we get into it, though, I think the question that a lot of people may be having, if you haven't sat down and watched it yet, is do I need to read the book by Stephen King before I get into the series, or do I need to watch the latest movies, It Chapter 1 and It Chapter 2? And while I would say you don't really need to do either, it would probably give you a lot more information about what's going on in this series, and I'll explain that here as we go along. One of the things that I guess you need to know about this series going in is that it is a prequel to the 2 films that came out in 2017 and 2019. That's It Chapter 1 and Chapter 2. So this serves as a prequel to those. So if you've watched those 2 movies, then you probably have enough information to be able to understand what's going on, in this first season. But even if you haven't, I still think you'll be okay. You just won't have as much in-depth knowledge as someone who has watched the movies. And the same thing goes for, whether or not you've read the original book, It, by Stephen King. And a lot of that extra knowledge really just revolves around, what it actually is. I don't think any of the adaptations that have ever been made, talking about the first, which was a TV miniseries starring Tim Curry as Pennywise the Dancing Clown, I don't think it did a very good job at all explaining what it actually is. And the 2 films that we got, over the last few years, I don't think they really did a good job either. And the reason for that, for those of us who have read the book, you probably know the reason. It would be really hard to give that kind of information visually. Because what it actually is, it's complicated. It's not, he's not just a monster, or it may not even be a he. It's actually implied in the book that it is female, I think. But whether it is or not, its true nature is very complicated. And you don't even get the full explanation for what it is by reading the novel either. So for those of you that are avid readers of Stephen King, then you know that pretty much everything that he has ever written, not everything, but a good portion of everything that he has ever written, from novels to novellas to short stories, they revolve around his Dark Tower universe. Now, it was written before he began his writing of the Dark Tower series, but as he wrote the Dark Tower series, he found ways to incorporate previous stories into that world and make them fit. And then, of course, as he was writing, and then even on after he completed it, he still continued to tie his works into that main universe that revolves around the Dark Tower. And like I said, it is no exception. It has a pretty direct tie-in to the Dark Tower universe that he obviously had to insert, after the fact, because again, this novel came out before he started on the Dark Tower. And I really don't think that he had all of this planned out before he ever started writing. I mean, let's be honest, he's just a very talented writer and was able to incorporate all of these things into a story that he began, much later in his career. But anyway, it's only until you've read like the entire body of work that revolves around the Dark Tower universe until you get, a pretty final definition of what it actually is. But anyway, like I said, I don't think you really need to know all of that in order to watch this series, but it would definitely help. I mean, the more information you have, the more you are able to enjoy and appreciate what you're actually seeing, on the screen. The other thing, I mean, you get it, but it doesn't just necessarily just come right out and tell you. In a nutshell, not to go into, heavy spoilers or a long-winded definition, but basically it is a creature that lives in the sewers under the small town of Derry, Maine. And every 27 years or so, it awakens. So it is a cyclical nature, this creature. Every 27 years, it awakens, and in the town of Derry, a bunch of kids go missing, and several people die. And then at the end of the cycle, there is a big event of some kind where a lot of people die all at once. And then it goes back to sleep for another almost 3 decades. So that is the cyclical nature of it. And you might be asking, well, don't the residents of Derry realize that this is going on? And the answer to that is yes and no. You get a lot more information about what is wrong with the town of Derry if you read the book. Stephen King goes into a lot of detail with this sickness that is in Derry, Maine, and it's all due to the power that it has over the town, where the adults... they know what's going on, but at the same time, they just kind of accept it as just that's life. Is probably the most generic way to say it, again, without going into a lot of spoilers. So if you just have that kind of knowledge going in, I think, the first season of Welcome to Derry will make enough sense that you don't need to, read the entire, history of Stephen King, all of his books, before you start on it. That would be an undertaking. So what did I think about it, Welcome to Derry? Well, first of all, I really liked it. Bill Skarsgård is back as Pennywise the Dancing Clown. But like I said, this serves as a prequel to the 2 movies that came out in 2017 and 2019. And from what I understand, the plan for this TV series is for there to be 3 seasons. And each season goes further back in time to the previous cycle. So this first season takes place in the cycle previous to where the movies started. So, but that's another thing about the movies. If you've read the books, you know that that story is told by switching back and forth between 2 timelines. One timeline is a group of children that are dealing with it in the late 1950s. And then the other timeline, and again, it just switches back and forth. It doesn't do like the movies where there's, chapter 1 and chapter 2. Stephen King keeps you up to date as both of these timelines move forward. But the second timeline deals with those same children as adults 27 years later in the mid-'80s. Now, when the movies came out in 2017 and 2019, they shifted that timeline forward. Why? I'm not really sure. Probably just so they didn't have to make everything look so retro, that they could still, kind of use modern things and not have to do a lot of set decoration and stuff. I mean, I don't know. So the kid part of the story takes place in the late 1980s, still a few years after the jump in the book. It's still a few more. And then the part with the adults takes place in the mid-2010s, like around 2014 or 2015. So they move the timeline like one cycle forward. So this prequel actually takes place in the early 1960s. So yeah, that's where it takes place, and then the films will pick up, in the late 80s, 27 years later. So that's what's going on in Derry in the early 1960s. Here we are seeing a group of kids deal with it, but it's done differently than the stories we've gotten in the films and the book. So yeah, there are some different things with how the story with the children is actually told, and I like that. It's not just the same thing again. Now, what those differences are, I can't tell you because that will be spoilers. But if you've seen this first season already, you probably know what I'm talking about. Just the way characters come and go is what I'll say. But yeah, so the way that the story is told is a little different. And we also get a couple of three other things going on. So there is a Native American perspective brought into this first season because obviously the Native Americans were here before we were. So they were dealing with this thing for hundreds of years before, we ever came over and decided that we were going to take over the area now known as Maine. So we get their perspective in. We get part of their story intermingled with what's going on. We also get a military component. Yeah, the military is there. There is an Air Force base outside of Derry. I don't know if that's actually ever mentioned in the book or if that's something they just completely made up. But yeah, we get another storyline with those characters as well. So we get a lot more things going on at the same time in this first season than we did in the books or the movies. Although if you've ever read the book, it is quite detailed. There is a lot going on. And Stephen King goes into a lot of detail with explanations and things like that. So this one, because it's more of a visual medium, then they just decided to add more stuff to keep us entertained, and I think they did a really good job. The other thing that they did too, going back to whether you need to have read any Stephen King before, they introduced from the get-go. I think he's actually introduced in the very first episode. A very important character from The Shining is in this series. So I thought that was really interesting. Not going to tell you who, not going to tell you how. You'll have to watch that for yourself. But I thought it was interesting to combine, something else from the world of Stephen King into this television series. Because King does that in his books all the time, not necessarily, bringing characters and stuff back and forth. But if you've read enough Stephen King, you know that he does reference himself and his other works in his books, little Easter eggs. But this is a lot more than an Easter egg. This is one of the major plot lines going on throughout this first season, and I really did enjoy that. So overall, I really did enjoy this first season. Like I said, the plan for the series is to keep going back in time. So because of that, one of the things that this first season does is it wraps itself up. I mean, there are no, loose ends or anything as far as the story is concerned. So if we don't get a season 2 or a season 3, story-wise, it's okay because they have wrapped everything up. They told the story that they wanted to tell for this cycle in the first season. Now, obviously, I am looking forward to season 2, but from what I understand, it's going to be coming in late 2027 or even as late as 2028. So it's down the road. So it will remain to be seen whether we actually get a season 2 or not. But I am looking forward to it. I mean, it's got a lot of the elements in this season that we got in, the last 2 films. Again, Bill Skarsgård is back as Pennywise. So we get a lot of the same type of, effects, seeing him as Pennywise. But we get some new stuff too. There's some more lore going on here that I'm fairly sure I haven't. Well, I haven't read the book in quite a while. I don't think it was in the book. If it was, it was just mentioned very briefly. But I haven't read the book since I was a teenager. So 40 years ago is when I read the book. But one of the things that it does do, if you've read the book, you know that even though Stephen King is telling the story of what's happening to these kids in their present and what's happening to the adults in their present, he also gives a lot of history of it, what has gone on in previous cycles. So some of those things that he has mentioned in the book come to life in this first season of Welcome to Derry. So they are, continuing to base a lot of what they're doing on the novel because it does have that in it. These descriptions of events that happened in the past, they are, again, being recreated here as part of this storyline. And if we do get a season 2 and a season 3, they will incorporate even more of those things. We got glimpses of it. That's another thing this series does, is it does go back in time itself and show little things that happened in previous cycles. So it's overall, it's really interesting. Again, I think I have a bigger appreciation of it because I have seen the television adaptation. I have seen both, chapter 1 and chapter 2, and I have read the book, even though it was a long time ago. But just having that, more understanding of what it actually is and what's going on, I was able to really, really enjoy this first season of Welcome to Derry. I think it's a well done story. Are they changing things around? Yes, they are. I mean, and I know a lot of people don't like that kind of thing. They want it to stay 100% true to the source material. But I think the decisions that they made were good decisions. I think they helped the story more than hurt it. I don't really have a lot of negativity, towards this first season of Derry. I liked a lot of the characters. It's got some good special effects. They're very similar to what we saw, in the last 2 films. So if you've seen those, you know a little more of, what to expect from this first season. So overall, I liked it. I'm really looking forward to season 2. Hopefully we'll get one. And then depending on how that goes, I'll probably be looking forward to season 3 as well. But anyway, guys, that's my thoughts on Welcome to Derry. If you haven't seen it yet, then I definitely recommend, putting it on your watch list and getting to it when you have the time. And if you want to wait until you've read the novel, that's okay. I mean, it is one of King's longest novels. So probably take an average person a week or 2 weeks to get through it. But I think if you want to do that, I think that'll help you, although I don't think it's 100% necessary. But anyway, if you've already seen Welcome to Derry, drop me a comment. Let me know what you think about it. I always like to hear what you guys have to say. And before you head out, if you would, guys, smash that thumbs up for me. That like helps the video out here on the YouTube platform, and I appreciate you doing that for me. And if you haven't subscribed to the channel, come on aboard. I'd love to have you. Just click that subscribe button, hit that bell next to it, and turn on those notifications. And that way you'll never miss a review. So as always, guys, thanks for watching. And until next time, we'll see you.